What if the trade that feels least risky is actually using more capital than you anticipated? In this Tasty Bites breakdown, we use 2025 market data to compare iron condors and strangles. Stay tuned to see why one of these popular strategies can quietly work against you.
All right, let's dive in. Best of 2025 Tasty Bites. The hidden cost of playing it safe.
What?
We literally. Okay, don't trade small. Just trade once, trade huge. That's our joke around here. No, hidden cost of playing it safe. July 14th, episode 2025. Let's check it out. Compared to a naked short strangle, adding 10 delta wings reduces conditional value at risk by 66%, reduces buying power by 85%, while reducing max profit by only 48%. So this study initially analyzed a spy strangle versus an iron condor, 20 delta strangle versus a 20 delta short, and a long 10 delta option for an iron condor. You can see here, conditional value at risk gets cut by a huge margin. Buying power gets cut by a massive margin. Credit only $300 relative to 582. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Especially this is something that we deploy a lot when we go to place a strangle, and we might see that the product is taking a little bit more buying power, or if it's 100% IV product, like it usually makes sense to just go and define the risk because you're going to be dealing with like maybe a cash secured product or, again, a heightened buying power requirement. But what are your thoughts on?
I mean, yeah, look, when you price out and size up like a strangle immediately, I think that's the first thing that people are drawn to is that pop, and it's like, ooh, that's really nice. And the amount of money that you can make. And I think people do that. That's probably the biggest mistake on every trade. Like when you size it up, you queue it up. See, everybody always pays attention to the potential money that you can make and kind of like, okay, I know what I could potentially lose, but forget about that. This is how much I can make. And that's definitely something I think people do initially on a strangle. Whereas, you can put together a couple of smaller trades that you're not thinking about as much too, right? Like I think with a strangle, most of the time you have those on. They do take up a lot of buying power, and they probably take up a lot of percentage of your brain too, if you're thinking about them day in and day out. So this totally makes sense. I get it. The idea of being safe, you can do that across a couple of different things, and you're not necessarily, it's not absorbing your brain as much.
Yeah. On the flip side though, defined risk, not as much management opportunity. So if you're staying in a strategy for a full year, or you intend to roll and defend a position, I think there's an argument to stay undefined risk, keep that credit higher, and keep those rolled credits higher, because there's plenty of scenarios where you have big move to the downside or upside, and then it reverses, and defined risk just does not have the same amount of defensive mechanics. So
yeah,
it can go both ways, but when you have situations where you're using a ton of buying power for little credit, I'm always going to go defined risk in that scenario. Next one, please. Sizing up on defined risk trades generally results in more risk than a strangle. And when you think about that, so again, sizing up on risk-defined trades generally results in more risk than a strangle. It can be because if you have a defined risk trade that goes in the money and stays in the money for that period of time, there's just not much you can do with that position. Where a strangle, you can manipulate it more easily.
Well, iron condors are a good example of this. And again, people do love to do the iron condors for size. I know they have great success with it for sure. Just be careful at a time like this. Is a perfect example. Like at a time like this, most likely there's a lot of iron condors being put on, and markets are barely moving. So it's awesome until like 2 weeks from now, for whatever reason, the market moves huge out of nowhere. And that we've seen that happen when markets are quiet. A couple of weeks go by and all of a sudden, boom, you have a big 150 down day move and volatility jumps by like 4 points somehow. I mean, that's when it can get scary and it can mess you up. But again, you kind of get lulled into that, right? Because of this kind of environment.
Yep. And I think this is the most important point here. Iron Condor has lower P&L and more frequent CVAR occurrences than a naked strangle, meaning that increasing size comes with large and frequent CVAR losses. And that's simply because if you have a strangle, your conditional value at risk is significantly higher than an iron condor. Like your iron condor CVAR is ultimately the defined risk of that spread. And if you have a 10-point wide or 20-point wide wing, that tells you that it's only 10 or 20 points beyond your short strike. So iron condors, the probability of realizing max loss on an iron condor is significantly higher than realizing a loss equivalent to your buying power or CVAR with a strangle, because the market needs to move that much more for you to reach that same point in time, or same point in the price point, I should say. So again, there's reasons to do it, there's situations to do it, but when it comes to realizing losses and having those losses be close to max losses, iron condors are of course going to have more occurrences, just because there's less you can do, for sure. Next slide, please. Narrowing an iron condor simply reduces the credit, CVAR, and buying power across the board at nearly the same rate, essentially spinning your wheels. So looking at a wide versus narrow iron condor, 20 delta and a long delta defined, long 10 delta defined risk option versus a 20 delta and a long 15 delta defined risk option. So just moving that in closer, the credit gets cut by a third, conditional value at risk gets cut by a third, and the buying power gets cut by a third. But what we're going to see is the same scenario where your probability of reaching your CVAR is ultimately going to be higher, because your long option is being moved just that much further in the money, or closer to the short option. Next slide, please. Simply adding long wings may not be the answer. Even though we still have access to defined risk trades, be aware that a fixed width spread or iron condor in an underlying that increased significantly in price sees its pop greatly reduced. In order to get the same pop that you had in 2020, your wings on your 20 delta wide IWM iron condor would need to be 20 points wide, making it much less feasible for smaller accounts, partly due to added skew. So 20 delta short with long strikes 5 points away, you can see your pop in 2020 relative to 2025. Pop in 2020 was significantly higher relative to the pop now. And I think if we look at IWM on a price chart, it's going to be funny. But yeah, in 2020, we were trading, a high was around 160, 170, and we dropped as low as under 100 in when COVID hit and everyone was locked inside, but quickly rallied back to 150. Now in 2025, we're dealing with a price point that's almost double that, sitting at 220. I mean, we got as high as 250, 260, and got as low as 180, sub 180. So yes, we talk about this all the time too. Like the width of your spread being narrow or wide has everything to do with the price point of that product. Like a 5-point wide spread on a $30 product is very different than a 5-point wide spread on a $200 product. A $200 product, 5-point wide spread, that's super narrow. But a $30 product, 5-point wide spread is wide because of the delta difference. So I think it just reemphasizes, if you're doing iron condors, look at the value difference between your short and long option, and look at your delta difference between your short and long option, and that will help you determine, is this wide? Is my probability of reaching max loss low or high? And if your deltas are very similar, your probability is high. If your deltas are very different, your probability is lower. Next slide, please. When using undefined risk trades in low IV stocks, you get a sizable increase in buying power. However, in higher IV stocks, the percentage increase in buying power is much less, allowing you to use more undefined risk and have a better credit buying power ratio. So Strangle versus Iron Condor, buying power reduction in Walmart versus United, both $95 products. IV in Walmart, 24%. IV in United, 51%. The 1 standard deviation Iron Condor, very similar credit, but the 1 standard deviation Strangle, $1,200 in buying power versus $900, and the percent change in buying power, 200% versus 100. So again, very different situations here. And of course, in the higher IV stocks, you have the ability to get wider and collect the same amount. You have the ability to absorb more because your strikes are going to be further out of the money than a closer strangle like in Walmart.
Yeah, this is interesting. I would totally expect UAL to, especially being a little higher IV, expect that one delta strangle to be one standard deviation strangle to be more money. Honestly, I would expect those to be flipped.
Yeah. Final slide, please. Takeaways. By trading an iron condor without getting too narrow, you can reduce the tail risk and capital components that come with strangles while maintaining a reasonable credit. However, be careful of sizing up more contracts or getting too narrow. Sizing up defined risk tends to result in more risk than a strangle. Narrowing long strikes doesn't optimize anything and can reduce pop even further. So again, if we have a decision to do multiple contracts with a narrow spread versus one contract and make that spread wider, we're more often going to make that decision to just go wider with one contract versus adding multiple contracts with a more narrow spread. Defined risk strategies cost 25 to 40% of the credit received. However, undefined risk and high IV stocks offer a better credit to buying power ratio and smaller buying power increases, making undefined risk a suitable option for smaller accounts if done optimally. And again, it always comes down to your ability to withstand variance. And if you're doing undefined risk, you need to be able to withstand pretty much all variance. Otherwise, it's a situation where you probably should go defined risk. But it all comes back to defensive opportunity and the things you can use in your toolbox to offset some of that risk down the road.
This was just a glimpse of what we do live on the network every day. To catch the market analysis in real time, make sure you're subscribed. Don't guess, trade with probability. See you next time.